Forestville Elementary is a school of 820 students approximately in the town of Great Falls, but we serve students from the communities of Vienna, Reston, Herndon, and Great Falls. It's a very active parent community, very involved in the students' activities here at school, a very dedicated set of parents and students who are really actively involved in all the opportunities that are available here at our school. Almost everyone who comes into our school immediately, if it's their first visit, they immediately say, you know, it's such an open feeling, that it's very welcoming. You'll see a lot of parents coming and going because a lot of parents are helping in classrooms and in our computer lab and so forth. I think one of the special things about Forestville is its dedicated staff, and I know that many schools in Fairfax County are fortunate to have dedicated staff. We're one of them. But then in addition to that, I think it's our parent involvement. We couldn't do half of what we do beyond the regular curriculum if it weren't for our parents who volunteer daily, weekly, monthly, whatever, to help in the individual classrooms and throughout the school. And then I think the third part is our cooperative and energetic, enthusiastic students. And I think because we have staff, parents, and students all working toward the same common goals, I think that's why we're able to accomplish as much as we are and have been as successful as we are.
Well, at Forestville, our character education program permeates everything we do. Every day in this school, whether formally or informally, we teach, we model, we experience character development. Well, the 6 pillars of character education really came from a lot of research. It also came from just simply asking our parents and our teachers, what do you think makes a good person? And so we came up with 6 categories that we felt were very important to the development of knowing how to be good, wanting to be a good person, and acting that way. Character education is pervasive. It's throughout the school for all grade levels. So when a child comes to school, we don't say, oh, this grade level's not ready yet. Of course they're ready. They're ready to have relationships with people. So our program expands from kindergarten up through 6th grade and on through high school. Each week, each teacher plans a specific character lesson. Now, this is a structured lesson. It may be literature-based, may be related to social studies. So it expands throughout the curriculum. Well, not only do we talk about how we talk to each other, but we also provide opportunities for students to practice reaching out to other people. You can talk about it, but you have to go through the stages and steps. That is, you have to be able to listen to people. You have to be able to make statements about how you're feeling about things. You have to be willing to disagree in a respectful way with people. And part of the outreach program is really reaching people, students and adults alike, in a way that doesn't necessarily require getting something back for it. You're not doing this because you need back from them. You're doing this because it feels right and it's the right thing to do.
Our 6 pillars are caring, trustworthiness, respect, responsibility, fairness, and citizenship. And we started out in a very small way by just asking the kids to say good morning to us and making eye contact in the early morning hours. As we got ready to do our last school plan, we surveyed the community, the students, and the faculty, and this was an area that came up in all 3 surveys. And we decided to incorporate it into our school plan, and it also is something that our pyramid has incorporated. Today we did a lesson on responsibility, which is one of our character education pillars. The children discussed with me responsibility, and we've talked about this before. Then they had a chance to brainstorm what they admired in someone, not necessarily a sports hero, which they tend to do, but in just anybody. And after they did that, then we went on to write their own yearbook entry. That entry was, what do you want to be admired for, and what you'd be looking for in another person, but what you would like to be admired for, and that's what you want to be remembered for. This was the first phase of the lesson on responsibility. We give the children time to practice it in school, at home, and then within the community. And this was the first phase, like I said, where they practice at school what they learned, and then hopefully they'll take this home tonight.
Core knowledge is a set of specific content guidelines that comprise about 50% of our curriculum. It's specific and it's sequential, so that from grade to grade, each grade builds on the next. And by doing that, the intent is that gaps and repetitions in instruction are eliminated for the most part. Core knowledge theoretically will take about 50% of instructional time. The other 50% then the teachers concentrate on program of studies objectives as well as standards of learning objectives from the state. Our teachers received a week's training the summer before we began the program, and then each grade level worked on 1 or 2 units to begin the year. Then throughout the year they have time set aside where they either refine the unit that they started during that summer training, or they start to work on additional units. To give you an example of how repetitions are eliminated or how things are built upon in the core knowledge sequence, in kindergarten, for instance, the students study magnetism as a force that you can't see. And then when they move on to first grade, they study other forces that cannot be seen. Then by the time they get to second grade, then they're getting into some kinds of work-saving or energy-saving forces that you can see, such as they study levers and pulleys and that sort of thing that the children can actually work with and see. And so it builds that way, and the same kind of concept in other areas starts in kindergarten and changes a little bit in first grade and second grade and so on up until the 6th grade. It's very exciting, the parents are very enthusiastic about it, and the children just think it's great that they're learning some material that they have never learned before in an elementary school setting.
We are studying genetics, so we've talked about the cell, the different organelles in it, and that each organelle has a function. So today we experimented with the enzymes that are in the lysosome. And what I did is I had a pineapple and had the whole pineapple there for the kids to see and sliced it into pieces. And the pineapple is going to act as the enzyme. Then I brought in Jell-O, and they had a little piece of Jell-O on a plate. They then took the piece of pineapple and placed it on the Jell-O. They made a chart, and they're recording what happens as they observe the pineapple on the Jell-O. So as they observe it, they saw that the pineapple ate away at the Jell-O, and they were able to record that over a period of time, the pineapple then sunk through the Jell-O onto the plate, and there was Jell-O on either side of the pineapple. They made their observations in 2-minute time periods, so they could see that it does take a while for enzymes to work. And then talked about, well, what would happen, why don't the enzymes eat up everything? And they could see some Jell-O was left, so sure, the enzymes dissolve some of the protein, but they are contained so they can't destroy the entire cell. They've been learning all year how to make a hypothesis. So today, before we began, they actually made a hypothesis about what was going to happen with the pineapple on the Jell-O. They have learned to work with a partner, because not everyone sees eye to eye. Life is cooperation. They have to be able to work with people. And they're getting a foundation in basic genetics that they will need not only in, they'll study it again in 7th grade, but in high school biology as well. core knowledge really goes more into depth than what we have been teaching in the past in Fairfax County. We've been teaching more basics and we follow the hands-on science. Well, with core knowledge, as you saw in today's experiment, we also use hands-on science. But the children have been introduced to a basic cell earlier. In 5th grade, they talked about cell structures. And then from that, I've been able to build on it because core knowledge is actually, it's the foundation of learning where you build in sequence from year to year. One of the things about core knowledge that is really exciting is that it gives you the ideas of what to do, but doesn't tell you how to do it. So every teacher can use their own style, bring in the information that they feel is pertinent, but do it in their own way so that they're comfortable doing it. And when someone likes what they're doing, then the kids enjoy it as well.
Does anyone want to share what hypothesis they
With
made?
the Native American unit, we set the foundation. What kindergarten does is set the foundation for the learning that will take place through the rest of the grade levels. So basically in kindergarten, we start teaching them about the Native Americans, getting them used to the idea that maybe all the Indians did not live in teepees, because that's the first thing they think of, Indians, teepees. And so what we did then was my aide, Mrs. Burns, went and she put down the topography across the map that's there on the floor of the room. She put down the Rocky Mountains and had the children assist her in doing that. The Mississippi River, right where it was, right where it is on the map. The Appalachian Mountains. Then I took over and we went through talking about the Native Americans that would have lived way back when, hundreds of years ago in our country. We also looked at the seasonal map that is up there on our wall, and it shows the 4 seasons, summer, fall, winter, and spring. But it also shows that the reason that we get the seasons, that we have our seasons in the first place, is the fact that the earth rotates around the sun. I hope that they have such enthusiasm about learning that they want to go and investigate even more about the Native Americans and learn more about the seasons and more about the continents, and that they get really interested in looking at maps and globes, getting Indian artifacts, just discovering. We get them excited, and then they keep going with that excitement, taking a lot of knowledge with them that'll be refined and built upon in the other grade levels. I was involved with core knowledge when it was first starting out, and Mr. Culp gave me their lesson packet and said, would you like to try some of these? So I said, sure. It sounded like a great idea, plus it sounded like really interesting lessons. It went beyond what we were doing in kindergarten, and actually said to me, yes, 5-year-olds can learn this material. They don't need to be treated like babies. They really can be enriched and challenged to learn other things. And from the excitement that it has generated in the children, I've been excited too. I just love to see their enthusiasm and see their hands all waving and getting really excited about the learning. So that's been great. So I'm really in favor of it. I really do think it makes our school a very good school.
The activity in the cafeteria was a geography bee. We chose a representative from each 4th, 5th, and 6th grade classroom. And they had a contest within each classroom. And the winner of the individual classroom contests got to participate in the school-wide geography bee. Each student, when they come into the cafeteria, has picked a number for placement in the seats. Mr. Culp will ask the questions for the geography bee. There will be a timer. There will be another person who will say whether the question is answered correctly or not. Each child will get 15 seconds to answer. If the child has not answered in 15 seconds, time will be called, and they will be asked for a response, or it will be counted wrong. Each child will have to answer 2 questions incorrectly before they are eliminated from the bee. We will get down to 2 or 3 finalists, and we will conduct our final round. The winner will get a medal. Each of the contestants who are participating will get a little prize. I think the benefits of participating in a geography bee like this is it will instill, I think, a desire to know more about the world. The questions, as I said before, are very difficult. And even though they are difficult, they're interesting. And having done this for years, I have wanted to find out, where is the Taklamaran Desert? Or what is the lowest depression in the world? I think the main thing to come out of a geography bee is a desire to learn more about the world around us.
Today in the computer lab, the students were introduced to the search engine Yehooligans. We have recently been networked, and so we want the students to learn how to use the internet in a safe way, and so we're using search engine Yehooligans that's specifically set up to be a safe way for students to find information on the internet. Today they were doing a scavenger hunt on Yehooligans. For example, the types of topics on the scavenger hunt are, they read a book about the Great Blizzard of 1888, and so they were to research to find out, what would you do in a blizzard? Can you find some ways to keep safe in a blizzard using the internet? Can you, another place that they went to is they went to a literature site, an internet public library, where they could find reviews of books written by other students throughout the nation and find books that they might be interested in. They found an online, to tie in with what they're doing in math, which is learning their multiplication facts, they found an internet flashcard. And to tie in with their science studies, they found internet sites on astronomy. Well, I expect them to take from this that the internet is a powerful research tool, that it can help them in their research or in any type of inquiry they have, whether it's related to school or not, and that they can do it in safe ways and in ways that can make it easier for them to understand what ways it can benefit them, and ways that there are some ways that that books might be better for them. And so that's something that they'll find along the way, that there are some topics that they won't find information about.
You saw today an art lesson involving paper sculpture castles, and the children learned different paper sculpture techniques, such as folding 3-dimensional shapes and learning to manipulate the paper and form the paper to make castles. The lesson is an outcome of their social studies lesson. Fourth graders study the Middle Ages, so to enhance their lesson or the things that they've learned about in their classroom, we're studying how to build castles and the parts of a castle and different aspects of the Middle Ages. The children started with a base to build their castle on, and were given different sized pieces of paper. They folded the paper to make forms for the castle. They cut into the paper, they fringed the paper, they crunched the paper, they built up their cylinders for their towers for their castle. They made doors and windows. They cut out different colors of paper for their texture on their castle, stone, and created landscape around their castle, such as trees, bushes. They added knights and people of the Middle Ages in the scenery around their castle. All of the grade levels always do hands-on activities in art. We incorporate art history and art appreciation, but all the lessons involve a hands-on activity. So for children who really need that hands-on activity, there's always a hands-on assignment in art. I hope that when they carry on in the years to come, that something, when they see something that they studied in social studies or science, they will remember the lessons that they've done in art, and it will help them to want to learn more about what they've studied. So it's something that I hope will build and will cause them to want to learn more about what they've studied.
About 6 years ago, our PTA came to me and asked if I would be agreeable to their starting a before and after school club program, because they felt that many of our students needed to have an activity either before school or after school because of our school hours. And I thought it was a wonderful idea. It gives the children opportunity to get involved in projects that we can't provide during the regular school day. And one of those after-school clubs, which has been very successful over the years, has been our chess club.
Typically at a chess and checkers club meeting, we'll start off by reviewing first in chess the various moves that a student can do when playing chess. After that, the students will share any new moves that they've learned or any strategies that they've picked up while practicing throughout the week at home. Then after they share that, we break into partners, hopefully someone they haven't played before, but if it doesn't work out that way, then they can play someone again. And then they play a game of chess. And there are times when they can talk and give each other tips and strategies while playing chess. And then there are times that they are asked to just play chess quietly without talking and just use their brains instead of verbalizing. Basically, they're to provide for the students something that is fun and educational, as well as to provide for the PTA funding so that they in turn can provide activities for the students that are fun and educational. What they take away from the clubs is a learning experience. Whether it be in the arts, whether it be in physical activities, whether it be in strategies. It's a learning experience that's helping them to engage their thinking process.
The buddy classes started actually a few years ago, not even part of our character education program, but when we did take on character education as one of our school plan objectives, we recognized right away that the buddy classes should definitely be a part of it, because it's a wonderful opportunity for the older students to help the younger students. And even in some cases, believe it or not, the younger students help the older students. It may not be in academic ways, but in other ways, because we're not here just to work with children in the academic areas, and so there are the other areas where the older students can be helped by the young ones. Originally, it was because the primary teachers felt that they needed, a little bit of extra assistance in the reading area particularly. They just needed an older student to sit there and help a student learn to read, or to help edit stories, revise a story. And so that was at the very beginning, but since then it's just grown, much more than that. It's reading buddies. We have older students who go on field trips with the littler ones when we might not have enough parent volunteers. They do parties together. And then when they see each other in the hall, they wave to one another. And they really develop a special relationship that lasts, in many cases, for far beyond their years in elementary school. I see the older students learning how important it is to help other people. And since the older students are the oldest ones in the school, they're not going to be helped by anyone older here. But they get that feeling of satisfaction of the light going on in the child's face when he or she learns something new from him. And oftentimes the student is able to communicate information easier than an adult because they're more on their level. So I see that great feeling of self-satisfaction in helping someone else. Several years ago, again, probably 5 or 6 years ago, we started a very active program which we called Outreach Program. Again, we wanted to involve our students in helping others. And so we've done a variety of projects over the years, ranging from sending a plane load of school equipment, school supplies, clothing, to flood victims, to earthquake victims. And every year our children are involved in making peanut butter sandwiches for a local homeless shelter. And each year we involve our students around the holiday time in November, December time frame in a program called Earn a Gift. And this year we had approximately 400 gifts that children brought in that they had earned by doing work. So they're not, we feel that it means a lot more to the students to go out and earn, to buy the gift that they earned, as opposed to having mom or dad go out and buy it with their money. So, and again, it's the same kind of thing as it is with the buddies, that the feeling that it brings to the children that they've helped someone else who may not have the gifts that they had at the holiday times.
HUG stands for Help Us Grow, and it's one of our supplemental reading programs here at Forestville. And it's a one-on-one tutorial program, and we start out by choosing the children who might just need a little extra push with their reading. And because one of my goals is the preventive help for children, just to get them off the ground when they're a first or second grader. All the volunteers go through a training session, and it's a 5-step little procedure where they do some vocabulary, they do some shared reading. The children get to take a book home with them to share at home with their parents, and all of it just reinforcing what they're already doing here at school and using different reading strategies to try to decode words. I think for the students, they really enjoy working with a younger child, and they really get a good self-concept for them, a good feeling that they're helping, another student. And then the younger students, on the other hand, really enjoy working with the older kids. But the parents, the children, I think, on the whole, enjoy the one-on-one attention that they're getting. They really, they're happy, they're proud that they're reading. It's a real good self-concept boost for them. And as far as the parents, we're just real fortunate here at Forestville to have so many parents. I mean, as I said, I have 21 just in this one program, but we have parents that are helping with book conferences, doing other kinds of one-on-one reading with students, and working in the writing area, revising and editing with students. And in other fields too, math, science, library. So we are real fortunate. Our parents are real concerned and really want to know what the children are doing and really want to help. It's real supportive. And I just really admire them for wanting to give up their time and come in and help us, because they really are a vital part.
What makes Forestville Elementary unique is the faculty. We are a group of people who are willing to help each other. We've had many new teachers come through our doors over the years. I've been at Forestville since the first brick was laid. Everyone who's come in the door has found us warm. We do things together as often as possible, and we're very willing to help each other. I think that's what makes our school unique, in that we are so willing to help each other, and in doing that, we help the children.
I think the teachers, there's a good bond, a camaraderie among all of us. We share ideas, we work well together, and I think that really makes it a good place to work, and it's a good place for the kids.
Forestville is made up of people who care about their job and care about the students and parents here. I have had so many parents who have come up to me and said it's one of the friendliest schools they've ever walked into. People are always smiling and walking through the hall, and I think that's what makes it successful and unique.
All of us are committed to really making Forestville a #1 school, if not the #1 school, and really making sure that our students are benefiting from the curriculum and from everything that's provided.